sports collide.
I am very happy to be here.
Thank you, Hakeem. I'm happy to be here, too. My name is Marcus Preciado, the host. And on the other side of the window, we've got Jefferson Drexler. Say hello to everybody in podcast land, brother.
Hey, podcast land. That always makes me laugh whenever we refer to that. It's like I envision some road sign, like, welcome to podcast land up over our heads.
We should start it. Seriously, let's start podcast land. We could be officials and mayors and all that good stuff. Hey, I want to say a quick thank you, everybody out there, to our partners, ChristianPodcastCentral.com. Go there for lots of great content like this, The Yard, and more. Also, just want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners that we have. All you guys following us on YouTube as well as Instagram and Facebook. Seriously, thank you. It's growing. You guys are engaging. We really, really appreciate it. And as you know, what the show is about is we're going to talk about the week of sports that was, cover some highlights, have some fun with it. More importantly, have a professional guest on later. We've had professional athletes, professional coaches, and today we have a professional artist. One of my favorite groups are the Katinas. I've known them from over 20 years, being from in San Diego. I knew them since they were the Katina Boys. They're award-winning artists. The Katinas won several Dove Awards. I love these guys. John Katina is going to be here today, so stay tuned for the second half of the show. John Katina is going to share the story of faith in his life and his brother, and it's amazing. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun. But let's jump right into it right now, Jefferson. Let's talk about the week of sports. Some things that jumped out at me. Let's start off with the NFL. The Bengals did it once again. They're like Britney Spears of the NFL, right? I just see that Britney Spears dancing around with the Bengals in the background, right? Oops, we did it again. What did they do? They lost again. They're 0-11.
That's hard to accomplish.
Hard. It's way harder to be 0-11 than to actually win a game. So kudos to you, Bengals. You guys are doing something special. Keep up the great work.
It's perfection at its finest.
Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. It's very hard to go 0-11, but they lost to the Steelers, who are a good team, right? Well coached, but they lost to a third-string quarterback, Delvin Hodges. Mason Rudolph got benched in the middle of the game, and I love the coach's decision. He went with a third-string quarterback, and they won. Did you see that game, Jefferson?
You know, my dad is a huge Steelers fan, lifelong Steelers fan, and so it's hard not to see the Steelers clips when they're doing well or doing poorly. And so yeah, I watched some of that. And you know what was incredible was when Hodges came in, he didn't start out rusty whatsoever. He came in and right away hit a 79-yard TD pass and said, all right, I got the job now. Go, you can take your helmet or give your helmet to whoever you want to give them to. Mason, or sit on your helmet, give it to the Browns. I don't care. And he took the job, man.
I like the reference. Of course, you talked about Mason Rudolph, the guy that got his helmet ripped off last week. And, it just shows you how the talent level is so homogeneous in the NFL. We've talked about it. From the superstar to the guys on the bench, there's very little discrepancy in talent. And this guy went in, Mason Rudolph got benched, and Delvin Hodges came in and led him to a victory. That was solid. It's just, Bengals, keep up the great work. We're really proud of you, and we're rooting for you. You can do it, guys. You can lose every game if you try hard enough. That's what America needs, right? Hey, the 49ers are looking great. That's what jumped out at me as well. I think the NFL's better when the 49ers are great. I'm not a particular fan of them, kind of indifferent, as I am with a lot of teams, but I want them to be great. In our childhood, the 49ers era, you know what? They are doing awesome. They dominated the Packers. And you know what? I believe the 49ers are definitely going to the NFC Championship. And I think the 49ers, like Heath Bell said a couple weeks ago, Heath, if you're listening, and I know you are, the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl. They look really good. Dallas does not look good, right? They lost to the Patriots 13-9. Their head coach, Jason Garrett, here's my call, is going to be fired at the end of the season, or if not before. I don't know if you saw Jerry Jones really lean into him, and he's been pretty benign comments up to now about Jerry Jones and the team, but he lit into the head coach's lack of ability to coach the team this week, and I think he's fired by the end of the year.
You think that, but one sports expert after another have been saying those exact words at least for the past 5 or 6 years. This is going to be the year where Garrett's gone. Garrett's gone after this year. So long, Garrett. But this may be that year. Who knows?
You know, I agree with you, but here's the difference. I've never seen Jerry Jones be so critical
That's true.
of his team and his quarterback as he was this weekend. So I think that's what caused the shift was Jerry Jones's look and his disappointment, and he blamed everything. He said special teams is all the coaches, and there was a huge special teams play this week that changed the tide of the game, which we'll get into later. But the Dallas Cowboys are on a decline. They might even make the playoffs. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure, because I mean that division has got to be the easiest division in all of football.
Yeah, but they're not built. Jerry Jones isn't excited about that team making the playoffs.
No.
Jerry Jones built this team in order for them to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and that's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year, but I'm saying he's gone. The Eagles lose 17-9 to the Seahawks. The Eagles are 5-6. Here's what I want you to consider. Carson Wentz is struggling. Now, everybody would agree that Carson Wentz was a better quarterback than Nick Foles, their backup quarterback of a couple years ago, who led them to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right? And so you'd hear pro after pro, speaker after speaker say how great Carson Wentz was, his metrics, his ability, his arm, all these things, which they are true. On paper, those things are true, Jefferson. But for some reason, nobody talked about Nick Foles really winning the games, right? Winning game after game, year after year in the playoffs. And they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And where is he now? They got rid of him. That was a mistake on their part. They stuck with the pretty guy. They stuck right with the guy that looks good. But they didn't take that risk.
I wonder, they're always looking for the perfect formula, right? I mean, everybody across the NFL, if you can't be the Patriots, then what is that perfect formula?
Yeah.
And I think that for a long time they said, well, it's just a healthy Wentz is all we need. Because Foles will just come in at the end of the season and mop things up. I think the secret, that real formula, is Wentz for 6, 7, 8 games, and then you bring in Nick Foles for the rest of the season. You got to have that tandem. It's kind of like the tap out, like in the WWE days, right?
You know, that's funny, and I know you're saying it kind of as a joke, but I wonder if they would have kept that going because that was working. You know, and I think of Foles, and I think of Wentz, and I kind of think of back in the day, the first kings that were part of the Jewish, the Israelite, the Hebrews, right? And so
I don't know what you come to do, but I come to praise the name. Amen.
Amen.
Preach it.
All right, I don't want to get too spiritual on you, right? But my wife and I, we had a long car ride home from Stanford all the way to San Diego. It was about an 8-hour car ride. And so we got a lot of time to talk about the history of the Bible and things, and it was great. And we talked about the first king, all right, follow me here, of the Bible was King Saul. He was good looking, he was tall, and he had all the metrics of the king that the people wanted. And to me, that guy is Carson Wentz.
Right? We never do get to read what Saul's last name was. What if his last name was, Wentzestein, the Jewish?
Right. So Saul, like Carson, looked like a king. Mm-hmm. Carson looks like the quarterback. But there was a humble guy named David, right? And God saw his heart. And nobody wanted him to be king. But he saw this humble guy that was winning, killing the lion, slaying Goliath. Talk about a Super Bowl, David slayed Goliath. You know what I mean? And
I didn't come here to preach to you today.
I did come to preach right now. So listen. So David, right, is a man that people didn't think was going to be the champion, that would be the king. And to me, David was the guy like Nick Foles that they should have kept. So they made a big, big mistake. So anyways, that's my little fun with the NFL and the Bible talk. But college football, right? Big weekend for college football. It's heating up. I love this time of the year, right? College football is coming. The players are coming. Everybody's turkey bowls are coming. Right? I look forward to the turkey bowl.
Dress
It's
it up.
happening this Thursday. And my wife warns me all the time, honey, I know you're listening. I know you don't want me to play the turkey bowl because I always get injured. I'm going to play, and I'm going to throw touchdowns, and I'm going to talk about it all year. So the Turkey Bowl is coming up. We're excited about it, but I love this time of the year. Thanksgiving around the corner. The college football heating up. Now the Oregon Ducks, we talk a lot of West Coast football here because they're on the West Coast. They lost. They lost to Arizona State. They're out of it, Jefferson. But Utah won, and so they're still in the mix. They only have one loss this year. Utah does. And so they're going to be, I believe, the only West Coast team representing the West Coast in the college football playoffs, which I'm really excited about it. There was a loss that helped them out as well, which was the Penn State losing to Ohio State. To everybody, all the pundits, Ohio State is the number one team. They believe it's the most solid team they had ever, but I still going with LSU. And you know why? Why am I going with LSU, Jefferson?
Because you love their coach.
Gosh, I love
You
the
gotta
coach.
love Coach Orgeron.
You know what? He after the victory this week, he wasn't even celebrating. He was like, that's not, we should have won this game, right? He didn't get too excited about it. His eyes are on the prize, and he wants to win the national championship. And I really think Ohio State is a better team than LSU. They're more complete. They're more dominant, but they don't have Coach Orgeron. And I think really those guys aren't going to maximize their ability for that guy. Moving to the NBA. Don't want to talk too much about it because, like you said, it's early on, right? There's all the storylines happening. But this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Luka Doncic play, and I think he is going to be a Hall of Famer. This guy is amazing.
I can't believe how great he is at his age. Until I saw a thing that I didn't know this because he's just come into our headlines recently. My man was turning pro at age 16,
Yeah,
Marcus.
16.
I got my driver's license at 16, and I was in the marching band at 16. This guy's shooting it with pro European hoop players. I mean, it was just amazing what this kid can do.
Man, that's funny when you say it like that. At 16, I was selling popcorn with nacho-stained white shirt and a burgundy bow tie, letting people sneak into the movies. That's what I was doing at 16. But I was darn good at it, man. When you're
a Hall of Famer.
Let me tell you something. When you're 16 years old and you work at a movie theater, you might as well be printing cash. Me and my friend Chris Runyon, right? We had our little mafia at 16 going. We had this underground economy at 16 because we worked at the movie theater, and that's when you used to print out movie tickets, the little stubs.
Yeah.
And if you had those, we would trade them for food. We would trade them for ice cream. We would trade them for gas because all our friends worked these places, and then we were high rolling. So that was a great year of my life, man.
I almost have that beat. Not quite, but almost. I used to bust tables at Marie Callender's.
Oh, okay.
And so, especially on a Friday night,
Sure.
I would take home all of my tips.
Yeah.
I would make my hourly wage, and I would easily bring home 5, 6, 7 free pies.
Oh, that's nice.
So when you're bringing home free pie for the family to eat for breakfast on Saturday morning, that's a winner.
Yeah, we should have hooked up back then, man.
I could have got some free movies.
Free movies and free pies. Life was good. But this guy, you're right. At the age 16, he was a pro. And now what is he, 19 or 20? I know he's
Pushing 20.
He's
Yep.
20, just turned 20 in his second year. They're comparing this guy, not his athletic ability, but his ability to dominate. They're comparing him to LeBron James right now. And I don't know if that'll sustain, but I'll tell you what, this guy will be a legend. He's from Europe, he's from Slovenia. And so their game translates a little bit different. You notice those big guys from Europe have a different game, and he's a guard, small forward, but they're having a hard time with him. This guy is lights out, and I'm really enjoying watching him play. Well, this is a time now we go to talk about the top 3 things, and not necessarily top 3 things, Jefferson, just 3 things that jumped out at us over the weekend. And let's get into it here right now. Number one, ruthless and toothless. That's the first headline. I'm talking about, and we don't talk about this. Another shout out to Heath Bell. Heath, listen, you made a difference. You co-hosted with us. Thank you so much. It was great to have an all-star closer, and we listened to you. He said that he watches hockey, so we started watching a little bit, and I saw that this guy, Keith Yandle, we're going to talk a little NHL right now. Keith Yandle, that guy right there, he's a Panthers defenseman, the Florida Panthers. Now, why am I talking about him? Well, for one reason, he's played 820 consecutive games, Jefferson. That's impressive. But that's not why I'm talking about him, which happens to be the 5th longest streak in NHL history. So this is a pretty impressive stat. But not impressive as this stat. Saturday night, he took a puck to the face and lost 9 teeth. And one puck to the face, Jefferson, he lost 9 teeth. But that's not why I'm talking about it.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Act now, and we'll throw this in. This is what I'm going to throw in if you act now. Sunday night, less than 24 hours later, he lost 9 teeth on Saturday. And on Sunday, he went to play another game of hockey, making his 821st consecutive game. These hockey guys, they're a different breed, Jefferson. Why? What do you think's going on with these cats? How can they do this?
You know, I was watching Creed 2 just yesterday with one of my sons, and there was a line there that jumped out at me, and I think this totally applies to these hockey players. It's not that they don't feel pain. They feel it, but they thrive off it. It fuels them. And that's how you get these big boys. I mean, it's ridiculous what they're able to do with missing teeth and slapping their knees. And I mean, the type of damage they do to one another is just incredible.
Wait, did you say slapping their knees in there?
Yeah,
what
man.
Does slapping their knees
slapping
have to do with anything?
Onto the ice. You ever fall on your knees going ice skating?
Listen,
it hurts, man.
Look, I was following you, Jefferson, right? And I believed you. I love Rocky, and when you got the Apollo, and then you throw in slapping their knees? What are you talking about?
Slapping the knees against the ice is what I meant. I messed up. But
Okay,
I mean,
I've
fallen on my knees on ice. That hurt for a long time.
Listen, man, you can't talk about hockey players falling on their knees and hurting when one night they'll lose 9 teeth and the next night they'll play. But these guys, man, they are a different breed. So that's our little NHL take for today. Number 2, Vita Vea. Did we call this one large and in charge? Large and in charge. Vita Vea. Here's the deal. He's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers player, and he caught his first NFL TD pass. Well, what's interesting about that is they found out he's the heaviest player to ever catch a touchdown pass in NFL history at 347 pounds. So I think that's pretty cool. The guy catches a touchdown pass, but here's the deal. Here's my take on it. I'm kind of bothered by it, Jefferson. This bothers me.
What? Big boy did big boy things. How could that possibly bother you?
This is why it bothers me. I think that fat guys in the NFL and heavy guys get extra credit for being fat and heavy.
Cut to Refrigerator Perry going, oh yeah, I scored a touchdown.
Right? Listen, just cut to that, right? Listen, because Refrigerator was 340 pounds or so, Walter Payton, for young listeners, you need to research this. Research Walter Payton. Research the Bears, right? Now, because he's a novelty, because he has a big belly, they give him the ball, and he scores a touchdown. In that Super Bowl, a lot of people don't know, Walter Payton did not score a touchdown in his only Super Bowl. Why? Because they gave it to the fat guy. I don't think it's fair. Like, I don't have a problem with fat guys, right? I'm probably going to be a fat guy. I don't have a problem with that. But you don't need to give extra credit. What does his size have to do with his hands? He should have caught that ball. You know what? They never talk about skinny guys catching touchdowns. They're never like, hey, guess what? In the news this weekend, hey, look, a beautiful touchdown pass. Look how skinny this guy is. He's the skinniest guy ever to catch a touchdown pass. It's wrong, and I want it to stop.
I personally am most amazed not by his weight or the size of his body, but the size of his name. Check out our boy Vita Vea's real name. Tavita Tuiaki Ono tui polutu mosose vahahe fehoko fale tau vea.
Something is wrong with you.
You just made that up, dude. That's not- you
Wikipedia.
just made
I
that
read
up.
it on the interweb, so it must be true.
That is crazy. Anyways, Vita, congratulations. You know what? Large and in charge. That's great. Catch your touchdown passes and be celebrated. Hey, number 3, winning and not grinning. That's what I'm titling this headlines right here. We're talking about the Patriots. The Patriots are still finding ways to win. Right? This weekend, they beat the Cowboys 13-9 in inclement weather and bad weather. Brady didn't play well. The Patriots didn't play great, but they found a way to win. They got some help with the refs. Something, you got to find a way. Sometimes the refs are the way, right? Listen, they got 2 tripping calls. Man, I've been watching football all my life. I can't recall the last tripping call that happened. And not only could I not recall it, tripping didn't happen. There were 2 tripping calls in the game, one at a critical time, and it didn't happen. The only ones that were tripping were the refs with the bad calls. Hey-o!
I saw this great meme over the weekend of a huddle of referees, and it said, "All right, ready, guys? Patriots on 3. Patriots lead. 1, 2, 3, go Patriots!"
Yeah,
all of their white and black.
You know what? But kudos to the Patriots, man. They're still winning. They've only lost 1 game this year, but the play of the game was their special team star, Matthew Slater. Matthew Slater is their specialist. He's played a little bit as a receiver, a little bit as a DB when needed, but he's the ultimate team player. I love this guy. You see him right there making that block of that punt. That changed the game. Matthew Slater, a couple things. He is the son of the Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. Not only that, more importantly, this guy is awesome. This guy loves the Lord. This guy loves him some Jesus. How do I know that? Because I got a chance to do the chapel for the Patriots a couple years ago, and the host of that was Matthew Slater. The guy greeted me. He was humble. He hooked me up with tickets. I got to sit next to his mom, who's a mom that loves the Lord, cheers on her boy. Matthew Slater has made 7 Pro Bowls. This guy's an awesome team player who's accepted his roles. And Matthew, he blocked that punt. Hey, Matt, thanks for being a man that loves the Lord. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for the 2 tickets you gave me. You have an awesome mom, and I tell you what, they found a way to win, and they found that way of winning was Matthew Slater. Now comes to the part of the show.
Here we go, joy.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, here we go. Rain, bump, 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 bump it up. Sunshine, yeah, and rain.
All right, there we go. I get my popping on. Hey, the joy of this week, Jefferson, is Rashaad Penny.
Who?
Rashaad Penny. He is the running back. He is a running back for the Seahawks. This is why it's my joy. 1, he had 129 yards. I like the Seahawks, but more importantly, I love San Diego State. As you know, I played football at San Diego State back in the old days. That's Rashaad Penny right there. Awesome, awesome Aztec. He got drafted and he went to the Seahawks. He has not had much success right now, but he did this week with a breakout game, had 129 yards as the Seahawks beat the Eagles. Go ahead, my Aztec brother, Rashaad, keep doing your thing. Hey, this guy's awesome, by the way, Jefferson. He really could be a dominant player in the NFL. In the long run, people are going to know who he is.
And, this is a great era for him to come in at this point in the season, too, because running backs are there. If you can find a good one that can find that pay dirt and do the way he's doing it there, I mean, he's got a very promising, 2, 3, 4 years in front of him.
No, absolutely. And you know what? This guy can run. He's pretty big, but at San Diego State, he would run back punts and kickoffs for touchdowns. The guy is awesome. I think he's going to have a great career, not too long, because we know that running backs have a succinct, brief, truncated career. But good on you, Rashaad Penny. Keep doing your thing. The pain for this week, man, it's Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback, the new starting quarterback of the Redskins. You know what, man? The Redskins, from top to bottom, this franchise is just kind of makes you shake your head. This guy,
Things that make you
right,
go,
leads them to a victory. This is only their second victory of the year, by the way. They're not dominating. He comes in, and they win. That's great. What do I have the problem with our buddy Dwayne Haskins? The last play of the game, right? He's not anywhere to be found. They have to send in the other quarterback to do the last play of the game. Why? Because he's hurt? No. Because he's hungry? No. Because he's stretching? No. Dwayne Haskins, the leader of this team, is taking a selfie. There he goes right there. I mean, are you kidding me? Now, granted, he's very handsome. I don't blame him for taking the selfie, but that's the last play of the game. Instead of being out there with the team, they don't know where he is. He's taking a selfie with a fan. That is embarrassing, and that just shows you from top to bottom about that franchise why they won't be any good. And that guy, even though that's funny and it's kind of silly, he won't be a good team leader. Because you can't have that from the leader of your franchise taking selfies at the last play of the game, and he didn't even own up for it.
No, that's the most terrible part of it all. I mean, you can have a wide receiver or a free safety come off with a phenomenal play in the last seconds of the game and pull something like that. But your quarterback, I've heard it say, a quarterback doesn't just throw a ball. A quarterback is much more than that, and that's what they need Haskins to be, right?
Yeah, and so if he wins a game or two, you know what? So what? They can't build a winning franchise with this guy. Even though something as benign as that, it tells you a lot. Hey, stay tuned, you guys, because we are going to have a great guest right around the corner. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. We have John Katina, lead singer of the Katinas. He's going to share how faith and sports collide in his world. Stay tuned. As promised, you are back in the yard, and we want to welcome our guest, John Katina, vocalist of the Katinas, a good friend of mine. John, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you. How are you doing today, brother?
Marcus, man, it's so an honor to be in the yard with you, man, and the rest of the crew. Thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited to be on with you.
Hey, I know you guys had a great weekend this weekend. You got invited to sing the national anthem at the recent Titans game. I know that was exciting. But before we get into that, to our viewers and our listeners, let's kind of introduce you guys to them. I know mostly they're familiar with you, but I've known you guys for a long time. Like we chatted, I remember going to your concerts all around San Diego, John, when you guys were the Katina Boys. You remember those days?
Yeah, with the Z.
Yeah,
Boys
the dance
with the Z.
moves.
That was way back in the day, man. Yeah, the Katinas are just we're 5 real brothers, same mom, same dad. We're 5 of 12 kids, and most of our childhood was back in the Samoan Islands, American Samoa, where both my parents are from. But it's been it's been 30 years of just making music and doing music together. It's been an honor to do this with my 4 other brothers, Sam, Joe, James, and Jesse. And it's been the thing that we love. And sometimes, I've always heard that, man, if you find something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And it feels that way. And it's been a journey filled with ups and downs. But God's grace has really shown up. He's been so faithful to open up opportunities for us to just share the music of hope with just people all over the world. And we're so honored to still be doing this together. We love it.
Now, I know you guys love each other, love the Lord. I know you guys love sports too, and you as well. You're a big sports fan. And I know there was a time in your guys' young life where you guys are very athletic as well, and there's had to be an opportunity or a chance where you guys had conversations which direction you guys are going to go in as a family, sports or singing. Tell us about that when you guys were young kids. How did that go?
Oh, yeah, man. We were just like any other young kid, especially a Polynesian kid growing up in the islands. A lot of times, your ticket to get off the island is either you join the military you try to get a football scholarship. So we were just, we were lining up and hoping to do the same thing that most young Samoan boys do. But when we were younger, our dad was like, "All right, boys, you can either do sports or you can do music, but you're going to do music." So he pretty much made the choice, and I think he had he was just being led by the Spirit, I guess, because 30 years later we're still doing music, and we didn't have a whole lot of height growing up, so there was not a lot of size to go into the sports arena. But we love, like you said, man, we are big sports fans. So between the 5 of us, we have 19 kids. And
Oh, wow.
telling you what, man, once we started having our own children, man, we were signing them up for everything. And I have 5 boys, and they love music, but so far their bend is towards sports. My oldest he just got the good news. He plays for Kennesaw State, which is Division I FCS, and they did the show to see what 32 teams get into the
the playoffs.
and they're in.
Oh, great.
So they play Wofford in the first round of the playoffs next Saturday, and so I love the ESPN Plus app because I get to watch him. They stream all of their games when I can't be there live. So, but yeah, all of our kids love sports, and I'm a big Laker fan. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I've been a Laker fan since day one.
Yeah.
So I know they're doing well right now, and a big Steeler fan. And so, we love sports, man.
Now, John, me personally, I think God has a special gift on the American Samoa people, especially gifted with so many ways. Athletically, one, vocally, and their spirit, two. Do you guys ever talk about that, or is that something that's acknowledged? Because as an outsider,
Oh, definitely.
I see that. I'm like, this is something special.
Yeah. No, your observation is right on, Marcus. The islands is, if you're familiar with an island territory, be it in the South Pacific or in the Caribbean, there's not a lot of things to pass the time. So we pretty much, man, our lives revolved around food, music, sports. All back up. Faith was definitely at the very top, but a lot of fellowship, which included food and then music and sports. And so it's crazy, brother, when you're in the islands, so the high school football games, because none of the fields are lit up at night, so they have their high school football games Saturday morning. And it's crazy to see in this tiny island, population of about 70,000 people, 72 square miles, tiny island. You got recruiters from the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, ACC, all lined up, just looking. I mean, American Samoa would be what the Dominican Republic is to the MLB. That's what American Samoa is to, like, D1, big time football, and to the NFL.
Yeah, it's an amazing blend of talent and heart and soul. And you guys live in Tennessee right now, currently. Is that correct?
Yep, we live right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, a town called Franklin.
So I grew up in Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and there was no Samoan brothers there, right? And so I eventually moved to Santa Barbara, California, and there was no Samoan brothers there either. So in 1990, my freshman year at San Diego State, I was playing football there, John, and I'm sitting down, and around the corner, I see this big shadow, and I hear these footsteps. I'm not kidding you, man.
Wow.
And I hear the footsteps coming down the hall. I don't know what's happening. And then this guy comes to me about 6'3", 400 pounds, John. 400.
Oh, my
And I see him. I don't know what he is. It wasn't.
You're like, man, you're blocking the sun, man.
I didn't know I didn't know who, where, what. And I was like, oh, Lord, what have I got myself into? His name was Carson Liamidi, and he was.
Wow, yeah.
You remember Carson?
No, I know the little meaties.
Yeah,
I
okay,
know
yeah. So he's a Leo
lot of
Meaty,
Meaties,
and
yeah.
his son's playing at West Point right now, as a matter of fact. So shout out to West Point
Wow.
and his son.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what was going on, John, and I was like, Lord,
Man.
first of all, what am I doing here? Second of all, what is this guy? He's not black. He's kind of black. He ain't Panamanian.
Right.
He ain't Guamanian.
Wow.
And look how he moves so smooth, and like I can never see him in
Yeah.
slow motion, just rhythm walking. His hair was flowing, and this guy was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, John, at 6'3", 400, he could dunk.
Wow.
Supernatural.
Isn't that crazy, man?
And then, as if that wasn't
Wow.
amazing enough, the first plane ride, we're in the back of the plane on our Southwest flight to Oregon in 1990. Him, another cat named Tracy Mao, Carson Liamidi, Sai Nu,
Wow.
in the back of the plane,
Wow.
singing the most beautiful harmonies
Oh, yeah.
you could
Oh,
ever
yeah,
hear.
man.
And I was blown away. And that was my first introduction to the Samoan brotherhood. Man, I tell you what, I love me some Samoan
Oh.
brothers.
Yeah. Man. Nothing like it, man. And they're, it's like they're like any other nationality, man. If we find Samoans out this way, man, we're, having a meal with them, and there's not a lot of Samoans in this area, so whenever we do see or meet them, man, we're family, because that's important, man, to try to, provide each other with just the love from our homeland, and so it's really cool to connect.
So you guys grew up obviously loving the Lord. You mentioned ups and downs, and every life is filled with them, John. I know personally you've had ups and downs as a band. You've had ups and downs. Your kids have ups and downs, and but through it all, I know the common denominator to keep everything stable has been your faith and your love for Jesus Christ. Why don't you share with us just some personal stories about how not being a Christian singer, right, and not being an award-winning band member, which all those things are great, but really, how has your faith in God, how has your relationship with Jesus Christ been important to you throughout the years?
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. It is the thing, separate from my relationship with my brothers, as we've been in this band and this ministry together, separate from growing up in a pastor's home. The thing that really has guided me through my journey just as a follower of Christ is just the intimate, genuine relationship that I have with Jesus, and it continues to grow. I continue to learn more, not just about who he is, but learn more about myself and what his purpose is for me. I remember probably the thing when I was 16, my mom lost her battle with cancer. She battled cancer for about 4 years, and she was really young. She was 50 when she went home to be with Jesus.
Wow.
And so that's kind of a crucial age because, I felt like I was kind of at a fork in the road. And it's like, all right, do I really, believe this Jesus that my mom and my dad are in love with? Or, do I just kind of go searching for something else? Because 16, man, you're really vulnerable. And now, God takes away the love of our lives. Well, he didn't take away, but the cancer, she lost the battle with cancer. And so, man, I can't really explain it other than, man, just the peace of God that I experienced even at 16 was so real. And it was almost as like the Holy Spirit was speaking to me and letting me know that, there's going to be some sadness, there's going to be some pain along the journey, but you need to rest assured, son, that I'm walking with you. I'm with you every step of the way. And so I could speak on behalf of my brothers in that even through our 30-year span, our 30-year career, we've made some choices that weren't great choices, and that typically would get you into some trouble in the industry, be it financially or whatever. And God would show up as we would humble ourselves and just as we would repent. And he's been so intimate with us. About 2 years ago, I went through divorce. It's just the worst just thing that I've ever experienced to date. And again, man, it's like, okay, you don't plan to be married to someone for 20 years to then end up apart or end up in a divorce. And so, man, God, I could tell you story after story of how he's just remained faithful to me and let me know that, you know what, this divorce does not define you, and that whether I knew it or not 2 years ago, that he still had an amazing plan for me, and that life can still be amazing as I totally submit to him and his ways. So I'm so grateful that it's the thing that's helped me not to be a perfect dad, but to be a present dad in my boys' lives. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for Jesus. I'm thankful. I love that he goes before me. He's around me. The Holy Spirit is near to me. And I would tell anyone who's listening right now, man, if you're in a predicament, and if you're confused, and if you feel all alone, there's a God that loves you. He's not mad at you, no matter what you're going through. There's a God that really sees you, and he has a purpose and a plan for you. He's got a destiny for you if you would just submit to him, surrender everything to him. He's willing to accept you just the way you are.
Man, that's great stuff, John. Thanks for being vulnerable, man, and sharing that with us, because we know so many people struggle with so many things. It's interesting because Christians oftentimes we're good at like pointing out people's other sins, and they're not like ours. You know what I mean? And categorizing them. But here it is: we have all fallen short of the glory of God, man. Right? And regardless of what that fill in the blank is, right? Pride, fornication, lying, whatever, all of it, right? It keeps us from that perfect God. And thank the Lord, man, for his forgiveness and the peace that comes with that forgiveness. And I just thought of the verse, man, you were sharing that. I love the verse because it helps me all the time that I fall short, which is daily, that it says it's his kindness that leads us to repentance. Oh man, and such a good God. You're talking about being a father, John, and man, that our Father would say, look, son, it's my kindness that's going to woo you to me, that's going to compel you to draw closer to me. And sometimes the kindness hurts. You know what I mean? As a father, how many times have you corrected your 5 young men? And sometimes that correction is painful, but still you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart. And I know that that God's love is what woos me back to him, and it just makes me feel so good as his son. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, no, that's it, man. You talk about his genuine love, and like you said, man, sometimes it's the hardest place to be, because so much of the darkness in us is exposed. But man, thankful for his light. I mean, if we don't come under his light, man, we'll continue to be lost in that darkness. It's that light that exposes everything. Yeah. And that light is really fueled by his genuine love. Yeah. And like you said, man, that's the thing that continues, that I encourage people, man, let the love of Christ come in, because it's the thing that's going to provide protection for you. When you're going down the wrong beaten path. And we, like you said, man, we, even as believers for, man, decades now, man, every day we're faced with different challenges and obstacles and like speed bumps. That's why I don't want to ramble, but that's why it's so important to have, when I wake up, man, I have my time with Jesus, because it just kind of, I could totally tell when I miss that. Say I'm rushing to the airport and I don't really set that time to get up, say a half hour earlier than I should. It's something about it that, you know, your day is not set right.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, man, you know, we put gas in our cars, we do maintenance for everything else. And a lot of times, for our spirit person, we don't take care of that, you know, like we should. And so we find ourselves in situations and positions that are like, oh man, how do I get out of this? And so the love of Christ, man, that's the thing. His word and his spirit, man, just go hand in hand. But it's his love, man, that draws people to repentance. Not you know, it's not condemnation. It's not, you know, this theology that sometimes we feel like, oh man, I'm not perfect, you know, if I need to get my stuff together. No, it's not about that. If you can get your stuff together, we wouldn't need Jesus.
Yeah.
But you know, we do, and I'm grateful for his love.
Amen. Amen. Hey, one quick sports note before we close this up, brother. The Lakers this year, are they for real? Are they going to win it? And then I'll give you my take. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think they're for real. I feel like we've got. I like the chemistry. I feel is even with maybe a quarter of the season, or maybe not even a quarter of the season out of the way yet. I love seeing how the veterans and the younger players are gelling. Everyone's in their role. I think the key for them to not just get in the playoffs but to go deep is to stay healthy. I mean, LeBron is balling out, but you know, he's at an age now. I mean, last year was proven that when somebody that age gets hurt, it's just a lot harder to bounce back. He's not a spring chicken. So if our guys can stay healthy, and you know, and keep building that chemistry, I really feel like they have a good shot, as any other team, to go all the way.
Yeah, you know what? They definitely. I agree with everything you're saying. I really like the Lakers this year. I like Jared Dudley for the Lakers because, you know, he's a hometown San Diego boy.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And I've known that cat since 7th grade, when he was just short and pudgy and barely had a jumper, right? And so it's real cool. I'm pulling for them. But then on the other side, we got another San Diego guy, Kawhi Leonard, at the Clip Show. And if they stay healthy,
he should have been a Laker.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Oh man, so it's going to be a great.
I'm not bitter.
It's going to be a great playoffs, man. Hey John, man, I love you so much. Thank you for being such a blessing, not only to me and my family, but to millions of people around the world. Hey, keep loving the Lord. Keep loving your family.
Man, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you in the yard, man. And hopefully next time you guys are in Dago, we get you in the studio.
Yeah. Totally, man. Thanks for having me, man. Love you, brother.
I love you too, man. Another huge thank you to John Katina from the Katinas for joining us here in the yard. What an amazing story. Thank you so much, brother. And speaking of thank yous, thank you to Christian Podcast Central for joining us and being our partner. Go to ChristianPodcastCentral.com for more great content. We'll see you next week here in the yard.